Hello, my friends. Welcome to Thought Shifting Thursdays at noon Pacific time. So I'm really excited to be doing this, having a great time. And when I originally decided to begin doing these sessions, the thing that excited me the most that I wanted to share with everyone is this practice that I've developed that I call thought shifting. And so, and you might have also heard about this in the Hicks material, Esther and Jerry Hicks, the Abraham teachings. They call it pivoting. But there's one thing that is a little bit different. So the idea is that we're using our emotions as a biofeedback device to assess where our consciousness is. Because what we all know, I think anyone who is a Facebook or Instagram friend or follower of mine, is that our thoughts create our reality, right? And so, this is the teaching, this is the law of attraction. But the thing is, what most people don't know is when we are being challenged, when something's challenging in our lives, we tend to be focused on what we don't want more than what we do want. So, simply stated, if I'm feeling discomfort, it means that I'm focused on what I don't want. That makes sense, right? And so that becomes the cue, the reminder, then when I feel discomfort, oh, I must be focusing on what I don't want. So, and the opportunity then to just simply pivot, shift my attention to what I do want, right? So I'm going to demonstrate this for you, and I'd love to make this interactive. If we've got Sally on, we've got Karina on. If you want to, put something in the chat and that you want to focus on, we could actually do this process, or I'll just do it in general with everybody who's watching and listening live, or as this is posted later. So let's just choose a topic. If anyone wants to make a comment about what topic that you would like to focus on, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, I'll choose one for us all. I'll tell you what, let's go pandemic, all right? Since that's on a lot of people's minds, that's what's happening. We could even include social justice, racial justice, which is on a lot of people's minds and hearts right now. Big challenge in our world right now. And it's so great that we're having these discussions. So, what I've added to this practice, by the way, which is what makes it really, really practical and in fact measurable. It's a way to measure our consciousness. And that is to do a daily review at the end of each day. And I'm going to demonstrate all of this for you. And just assess what percentage of the time today, when I was thinking about X, whether it be my physical health, whether it be relationship, whether it be finance, whether it be a situation in the world, what percentage of the time was I focused on what I want compared to what I don't want? And you simply write down that the category. You can have several categories that you're measuring, and the percentage of time. So just category number. I have, if you want to send me a message, I will send you by email actually you could get it on my website too. I'd have to give you that link. I'll do that next time. But if you send me an email, I will go ahead and send you a log sheet that actually gives you like a column for the category and then a place, a box for each day of the month in which to write the percentage number. So here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. It's a very simple and very quick process. So just close your eyes, and you can do it for anything you want in life as I'm thinking about it, since everyone's doing it on their own. But I'm going to do it for the pandemic and social justice. So close your eyes. Take a nice deep healing breath. And just really sink down into your heart. And just answer this simple question. From your heart, as simply as possible, in 7 words or less, ideally 1 word, what do you really, really want for this situation? What do you want? Just imagine that you're saying it to me. You can say it out loud if that's appropriate within your environment. Again, 7 words or less, ideally 1. And now, how does it feel as you've just identified and said those words? You can open your eyes or not, but how did it feel when you said those words? Now, if it's not something really positive, then we're going to do it one more time. If it is something really positive, then I'd ask you, well, actually, let's do it one more time anyway. It may go deeper even if it was positive. So close your eyes and take a deep breath. And once again, sink even deeper into your heart, into your core, into your soul. And for this situation, even if you don't believe it's possible in this period of time, just simply, what do you want? 7 words or less. Actually, let's do it in 1 word this time, if you didn't the first time, to see if there's a qualitative difference. 1 word, what do you really, really want? When we bring it down to 1 word, it's usually a spiritual quality. And now, how does it feel as you identify and say that word? And the next question is, over the last 30 days, unless it's only been a challenge in your life for less than that time, then for whatever that time period is, but over the last 30 days, average day, what percentage of the time have you been focused on what you want, what you just described, compared to what you don't want? Now, if it's something that's really challenging you, most people, it'll be 10% or lower, if it's really challenging you right now. If you're already moving through it and getting to resolution, it'll be probably a lot higher. But identify what that percentage is. Some people say, I don't know, I can't really come up with a percentage. If you had to choose a number and it didn't have to be right, what would it be? What percentage of the time, average day, focused on what you want compared to what you don't want? So that gives us, and there are no bad numbers, right? It's just about creating awareness. Now here's the most important question in this practice, is what will it be like intuitively when that number has risen to above 50% if it's not already there? Let's say 55 to 60% consistently. So just imagine you're telling me that. I'll bet, because most people, and I've done this with hundreds and hundreds of people now, it's the most important practice I do in my coaching practice. Most people will say, oh, I'll feel great, or it'll be resolved, or it won't matter anymore because what happens is when we're above 50%, we're in solution mode rather than problem mode. We see possibilities above 50% that we can't see at even 40%, let alone 30 or 20 or 10. I've had people start out at 0%, and that's okay too. Look how much room for improvement there is then. So what will it be like when it's 60%? Now notice this energetic difference. What will it be like intuitively when it's 75 to 80% of the time focused on what you want instead of what you don't want? Feels even better, doesn't it? What will it be like intuitively when it's 95 to 100% of the time consistently focused on what you want compared to what you don't want? Every person I do this with says something like, it'll be ecstasy, it'll be a done deal, I'll be living my dream. If it's a situation in the world like we're talking about, it may not be completely resolved, but I will be in a place of peace about it by being focused on what I want. Now, some people might say, well, if you're focused on what you want and you're at a place of peace, will you not care? Will you be apathetic? Will you not move to action? I find it is the opposite. That is not the case. What happens is when we are in solution mode, then we are moved to act, to take the authentic action that will create the reality that we want, or at least participate in creating the reality that we want if it's a global situation, if it's a national situation. So the most important thing about this, though, I have found, is to write it down on a daily basis. And this is the first time I've ever offered this, through a social media. And usually when I offer it to people, either one-on-one or in a workshop I've done or a class I've done, most people, most of the time, will not write it down. And they'll get some kind of positive results because they'll be thinking about it for the next couple of weeks, but then it will drop off. My clients where it's been reinforced, because I ask them each time where their consciousness is, they will get continued results. And the numbers, the percentages, will stay above 50% consistently as long as you keep writing it down. And here's what makes this practice so simple, is that by virtue of being a human being who wants to grow, you're not going to want to write down whatever number you started with too many days in a row. If it's 10%, you're not going to want to write down 10% too many days in a row, right? Even if it's 40%, you're going to want that number to go up. And so by virtue of being a human being who wants to grow, the numbers will go up over time. There may be, a jagged line. And if it's health and you feel really lousy one day, it's going to drop down. But the more you write it down, what you will find is that your lows, your lower percentages are now higher than your highs used to be. And then I'm telling you, what I found with people is once above 50% consistently, everything changes all the time. For sure what changes is our consciousness and our outlook. And the Hicks and other metaphysical teachers describe it this way. When we're focusing on what we want or on the positive more than the negative, then we create a vibrational match, and by virtue of the law of attraction, it must be attracted to us. But what I see, practically speaking, for people is that when we're above 50%, we see possibilities, as I said before, that we can't see it at 40%. And therefore, we start showing up in the world in a different way. And the world responds to us in a different way. Synchronicity starts happening. We come up with solutions. We come up with creative ideas that we can't otherwise. And I want to end with this phrase. Oh, let me say one more thing about it too. The reason, my theory as to why people won't write it down, this is something that takes 30 seconds to do on a daily basis. And my theory is that it's too simple, right? It's so ingrained with us, within our culture, to think that anything that is worthwhile has to be hard. You have to say an affirmation 1,000 times a day, right? You have to meditate for an hour a day. You have to visualize. And all of these things are helpful practices and can augment this practice. But I can guarantee you, if you take this 30 seconds, and by the way, it is the simplest solution that I have found that is always the most effective. So if you take this 30 seconds a night and actually write it down, I guarantee you your life is going to change in those areas that you are focused on. And if I'm wrong, send me an email. And I'll tell you what, to ground this, I'm going to offer right now, I don't usually do this on social media. I do it through, to people that have come classes who I think can really benefit. But if you send me an email, we can set up a time, and I'll offer a complimentary coaching session to really ground this practice for you. And we can focus on anything else that you want to. One of my friends once said, and I love this phrasing, that when we don't have the consciousness for a particular outcome, anything that we try will not work, or rather everything that we try will not work. If we do have the consciousness for a particular outcome, anything we try will work. That's how powerful consciousness is. And we all know this teaching, but again, it's where the rubber meets the road as far as making this conscious. I have clients who are ministers and teachers in in this, this teaching, in this understanding, who have been teachers for decades. And if something is really challenging them, and I do this process with them, they'll usually be below 10%. They'll say something like, wow, of course, no wonder my situation is not changing. I understand these principles backwards and forwards, but I was not aware of where my consciousness was. We can be unconscious about our consciousness. So we're going to talk about this more and more each Thought Shifting Thursday, and we'll practice with different things, with different areas of life. But for now, put this into practice and let me know how you're doing with it. And by the way, if you're watching on Instagram, check out my Facebook page. I've got a new business page, and both under my name, Patrick Harbula. And please like those pages, and we're going to give you more and more information and tools through all of our media outreach, and we're going to have fun doing it because, as I said in my first Thought Shifting Thursday, the most important thing is living from an inner experience of freedom and joy. It's all about consciousness. And when we get that, our lives cannot help but get better. So I love you, my friends, and we'll connect with you soon, live and hopefully someday soon in person. All right, take care.